Good morning. It's April 12th, 2022. My name is Sean Shapiro, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop, where we answer your traffic and police questions for a full hour, not like that other day, like yesterday, where we were only here for a short time. Yeah, we're here for the entire hour, and it's all about you. So if you'd like to ask us questions, please do. If you're on TikTok or Instagram, you can do that using the app in the Q&A function. That's the only way that I'm going to see your questions. I don't generally spend time in the chat, even though it's nice to sometimes when I get to see those good morning messages from Adheld. Now, we are also streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, everywhere that's important these days. Now, if you are on those apps, you can interact. Yes, you can ask us questions, except for Twitter. We love you, Twitter, but Twitter's not working right now, so you can't actually ask us questions. If you want to ask me questions, switch over to our YouTube channel or our Twitch channel. Those are working perfectly. Actually, everywhere except Twitter works perfectly. It is what it is. And Instagram, just going to throw you under the bus and say you haven't approved us yet as verified, so we can only be on for an hour. So in 57 minutes, we're going to lose our stream. And if you get lost, disconnected on Instagram Live, please jump over. If you're not already following us on YouTube, check us out. It's Traffic Services Toronto Police. That is the name of the channel. And we're not rapidly approaching 1,000, but we are approaching 1,000. Rapid would not be the right word, but we are slowly growing to 1,000 followers or subscribers, being the proper terminology on that platform. Once we hit 1,000, I don't know if anything changes, but it's going to be cool because there'll be one more digit there. Additionally, you can watch archives of all of our shows there, so it's kind of cool. And we have other stuff going on that doesn't make its way onto TikTok or Instagram. So check it out for our long-form content there. What can I tell? We got to start with paying the bills. I always say paying the bills, even though it's got nothing to do with actual bills or just doing what my boss wants. That's what it's all about. Talking about Vision Zero enforcement team. So two things are happening. This is day 2 of Speed Kills. Speed Kills Vision. I'm confusing two things now. Speed Kills is our traffic safety initiative that we are running right until Sunday. That is where we are focusing on speed offenses. Now, we're always out there looking for the big four. That's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, or impaired driving. That's what we do every day. But we are specifically talking about the numbers when it comes to speeding, because speeding, like the others I've just mentioned, lead to serious injury and death on our roads. We've already had 14 people that have died in Toronto on our roadways. It's unacceptable, and we know that driver behavior that leads to those collisions is preventable. It's choice. It's people choosing to be dangerous on our roads. Okay, where is the Vision Zero enforcement team today? They are in 23 Division and 41 Division, which may mean nothing to many of you. So that's the neighborhoods of Rexdale, Jamestown, Martin Grove, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside. Those are communities, neighborhoods within those divisions, or that those divisions service. So that is where they are today. That's not to say they're not giving tickets out throughout the entire city, because part of this campaign, the Speed Kills campaign, is that every police officer on the road that is out there making a difference will also be participating. And later this morning, we will have stats as to how many tickets were issued yesterday. Now, I talked about it yesterday in terms of how many tickets we issued last year in terms of speeding. And the answer is the Toronto Police issued 104,000 tickets for speeding. 1,000 tickets were stunt. And the City of Toronto, with their automated speed measurement or speed enforcement cameras, they issued over 250,000 tickets. So 354,000 tickets. That's a lot of tickets, and we still have a problem. So let us jump into things. Will, good morning. Will says, happy Wednesday, everyone. We've got Andrew McNaughton coming in from YouTube. Good morning. Caitlin Graton says, hey, Sean, how you doing? Coming in from YouTube. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Now we've got Pro Football Craze coming in from Twitch, says good morning. And Alex says, hey. Big Jeff Fresh also from YouTube saying good morning to Sean and the chat at large. Yeah, okay, we got some good mornings out of the way. Silky Slow Jetta says, what is your dream car? Oddly enough, the Hummer H1 I think has always been the vehicle that I've always wanted. I don't, what Q says, today is Tuesday. Did I say Monday? What's going on? Does it say? It says Tuesday. Ask a traffic cop. It said Wednesday. Where does it say Wednesday? Will says Wednesday. Will, you've been corrected by the mighty Q. And I didn't even catch it. I just read it. Okay, so back to what's my dream car? Yeah, the Hummer H1 has long been the vehicle I thought was made for me. As a big guy, I thought it was the cat's hiney, and I've driven one. I don't think it's actually the vehicle for me. It's cool. But yeah, I don't know what my dream car is. Now I'm thinking a Cybertruck might be it. We'll see. We'll see. I am one of the few, the proud, the people who have $150 less in their pocket because they put a reservation down on a Cybertruck. We'll see if they ever get made and what they look like when they finally are. Let's see here. Ooh, Ryan Pins is a 96 Dodge Viper. Why a 96? Yeah, and Alex says, I did say Wednesday. I was reading, though. Okay, back and forth. All right, Mr. I don't know what your username is, but it's Mr. Something Keen. Okay. Why does stunt driving POA hold a 2-week suspension when an impaired charge only holds 1 week? It's actually not a 2-week suspension. It is a 30-day suspension. The 30-day suspension on stunt driving and a 2-week impound of the vehicle. The whys, I couldn't tell you. Maybe they haven't updated the impaired yet, but that is what it is. Impaired driving holds a 30-day suspension and a 14-day impound, and that is it continues every time that you are caught roadside. But there are additional suspensions once you actually go before the courts. So you're on your first conviction, it's 1 to 3 years suspension, and on your second, it's is it 3 to 6 years or 3 to 10 years, and then your third is going to be lifetime. Okay. Let's see here. Here's a question. If you cops see a Tesla self-driving and the guy, I'm assuming there's going to be a part 2 here, and the guy, where's the rest? Yeah, I don't see the rest of your question, dirt bike. Let's see here. I'm assuming, I don't know what I'm assuming. I was going to say you're probably asking questions about I have no idea what you're asking. If we see a Tesla that's self-driving, and we'll assume the question is, and the guy's on his phone, is it still an offense? Yes, it is. If you're driving, you're driving. It's not a matter of just being a passenger. It's not an autonomous vehicle. It's just something that does a little of the work for you. Boop the Snoop and share the live. Oh, thank you very much for reminding me, Q. Q would like you to hit that screen, tap it till your fingers go numb, because that will help you or help us. Make sure the algorithm knows that we're doing something worth watching. It'll bring more people to the party, and the water's fine. So if you can do that on Instagram and TikTok, much appreciated. If you're watching on any other platform, please share it on your socials. And if you're not following us, please do subscribe, follow, depending on where you are. We much appreciate the help. We're just trying to make the road safer and educate other people about things and stuff. So if you ask questions, they and everybody likely have the same questions. So want to be a hero? Share the knowledge. People always love it when you share knowledge. Mark Anthony says no audio. No audio where? You have no audio? I think everybody else is hearing me. If you're not hearing me, you might have an issue. Yes. Okay. Jim Wallace says, are mirrors required on motorcycles, one or both? One mirror is required on a motorcycle and a car, actually. Motor vehicles only require one mirror to the rear, one clear view to the rear. And that is, so if you had a Jeep, for instance, you took the doors off, well, those are door-mounted mirrors. As long as you have a clear view to the rear with the rear view windshield-mounted mirror, you're legal. Now, you're not the safest, but you are legal. More mirrors, the barrier. I don't think there's a maximum number of mirrors. I've seen some pretty wacky Vespas with many, many, many mirrors, but that's another story. What is this? When a bus stops at train tracks, do I stop too? If you don't stop, you run the risk of driving into them. So, it depends on how many lanes there are. You're not required to stop. Buses are required to stop. That being said, if they stop, I would suggest stopping so you don't hit them. But if you're not in the same lane as them, then you can proceed. Now, hopefully they don't know something that you don't know. Hopefully there you go. Okay.
What's a question?
A question?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I record a stupid road rage driver, how can I report it?
A stupid road rage driver. If you're recording stuff, you can certainly make reports, depending on the jurisdiction. If you're in an area, if you're in Toronto, you can make reports online. Assuming it's not criminal, because criminal you'd actually want to call the police. But if it's something that's just driving behavior, you can certainly make a report online in regards to a specific vehicle. You can add a YouTube link or a link where you've stored it on your Dropbox and share the video with us. There's no ability to submit it electronically directly to us. It has to be through a third party. Okay, Mark Anthony fixed his audio. Awesome. You are good, and we are back in business. Okay, what sort of lights / setup make an emergency vehicle? It isn't a number of lights. The fact is, red and blue lights are now the standard color for emergency vehicles in Ontario. That's police, fire, ambulance. There are red-only lights. For instance, I believe the Ministry of Transportation only uses red. So the specific setup, it isn't specific. Every police service is going to use a slightly different set of equipment. Generally speaking, it's 360-degree lights. Okay. Can I eat while I'm driving? Can you? It depends on you. Legally, in Ontario, there's nothing preventing you from consuming food or beverage as long as it's legal to consume. It does, or it can become a problem if it negatively affects your ability to safely operate a motor vehicle. So if you're, having a 3-course meal behind the wheel, and I've seen it done, that could be careless driving. So really, your mileage may vary. Things that are finger-friendly foods like nuggets. I was given a gift. My wife got me a gift, and it was a nugget dip holder that was a vent mount. Possibly one of the most creative inventions ever. If I was so inclined, and I have not actually used it in the car, I got a good laugh out of it, but I haven't used it in the car because I don't need dip when I'm driving. If I got a nugget, it's just going in my mouth. I don't get into dipping. But the fact is, it's a kind of cool idea. So something that can be eaten safely, and if you talk to the safe driver, Scott Marshall, who is a podcaster and TikToker and blogger, he will tell you that a Werther's, I think he used the example of a Werther's mint is the extent of what he thinks is okay to consume. But that's it. Again, if it doesn't affect your driving, you should be okay. Because there's no law saying you cannot consume. Okay. What district do you work at? I'll reintroduce myself, although the folks who are watching on TikTok, they can see who I am. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable of the Toronto Police Service. I work at Traffic Services, which is the citywide unit for traffic in the city of Toronto. I work specifically in traffic safety programs, which is the educational arm or office of the unit, and I do stuff like this. I deal with media. I deal with social media. We do the campaigns and manage all those things, and that's what we do. If 62 kilometers in a 60 is that speeding? If I drive 60, yeah, it's speeding because you're doing 2 kilometers over. So just to read it again, it's if I drive 62 in a 60, is that speeding? Again, yes, it is speeding. Could you get a ticket for it? Sure you could. Will you? Maybe, maybe not. At the end of the day, you shouldn't be speeding at any speed. It's just not permitted. So there you go. LinkedIn user says, hey, Sean, what advice can you give an aspiring potential officer who is studying and planning to join the service? Well, first of all, I'll tell you right now that we are hiring. So being that we are hiring, aspiring officers should probably apply right now. If you can pass the test and you qualify, nothing stops you from applying right now. We are always looking for good candidates, and if you have things to do like finishing your education, by all means do that, but nothing stops you from applying now. You never know. If you go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers, you get all the information as to what the requirements are. But general things you should do if you want to join the job is get your shape. You have to get in shape. You have to be able to pass the physical. You have to be able to pass the academic requirements, which are right now grade 12, but there are written tests and things like practicing grade 7 math, really important if you want to pass all the academic testing. I say grade 7 math because most math and basic skills are horrible, so people have to work and practice on things because they've been out of school for so long, they haven't been doing these things quickly. So those are really good things to do. We talked about education, physical, what else? Volunteerism, volunteer in your community. Give back to the community you want to serve or claim that you want to serve. Also, driving record. Holy moly, people apply to the police service not realizing that if you can't follow the rules of the road, how would you be expected to, or relied on to enforce the rules of the road? So be a good driver, be a safe driver. If you want to be a police officer, that's important. Tips on fighting speeding tickets. You know what? I can't give you tips on fighting them. I can give you tips on not getting them. You know how you do that? You don't speed. That's the ticket. The ticket is don't speed. I write tickets. I don't defend tickets. You could always hire someone or get the guide to defendants for POA court. It's available for free online. They can explain how the court system works. But yeah, you're on your own when you get a ticket. Can I drive barefoot? Absolutely. You can. It's not the safest option, but it is legal in Ontario. Let's see here. I want to see. Okay. Akela Draconis joins us on YouTube with greetings and salutations, and wanted to add a tidbit. And he writes, "Food for thought. What happens if you choke while eating while driving?" The answer is possibly a collision. So there are things to think about when you're consuming food or drink while you're driving. Someone is calling me, but I cannot answer. Okay. Let's see here. Can you drive between provinces with only a learner's permit? Well, with a learner's permit. Oh, I'm gonna put you guys on hold because it is Sergeant Kulik who's calling me. One moment, please. Q, if you want to sing a song, by all means.
Q, sing a song? I don't know about that. Okay. Do dogs need a seatbelt when driving? They don't need a seatbelt when they're driving, but they should be harnessed or they should be tethered, and they should be either in a kennel. They can't be in the driver's lap while you are driving. Oh, he's still on the phone. Okay. Dogs cannot drive, but you cannot have dogs in your lap. It's called driving while crowded.
How was the song? Did everyone enjoy the song?
Did you mute me too? I didn't. I answered the question.
I did not
about
mute
dogs
you. No,
being
you were not muted.
But did you hear me?
I heard. I only heard from one ear. Stream is. Sorry, just going to text Sarge. Stream is live. Missed your call. Okay. Let's see here.
We were talking about dogs driving, not dogs driving.
Tethered. Yes, they must be tethered if you're driving. It's not that a legal requirement, but it is the safest thing to do. You want to make sure that in the event of a collision, they are not either injured as a result of the collision. So backseat tethered is the best place, or in a transport, in a carrier, cage, whatever you want to call it. What is that called? The actual name of it escapes me. Oh.
The kennel?
Apparently.
Not the kennel?
Maybe it's not a porta kennel. I don't know what it's called. So backseat, tethered, or in the box with the door. And let's see here. It's the song that never ends, Ryan Pinson. So a crate. Mike Liebman, who's an auxiliary sergeant, acting staff sergeant, just texted and said a crate. And Akela Draconis also said crate. Thank you for filling in with words that I was looking for. The reasons for it, to protect them, and in the event of a collision, that they don't get free and start roaming the roads and get hit. That would be bad. Okay. Back to the question of, can you drive intraprovincially with a learner's permit? No. A G2, yes, that's a probationary license, but a learner's permit is only for your province and requires you to be supervised by a licensed supervising G, which means someone who has 4 years experience combined, either G2 and G combined, but they have to have a G total experience, 4 years. Can an officer give a ticket after an accident? Well, first of all, there are no accidents. There are collisions. Accidents suggest that it just happened. Collisions are because someone made a boo-boo, and there's always something that led to that collision. So someone's responsible. And yes, collisions, officers can issue tickets after the collision. It doesn't have to be at the time of the collision. I have amber strobes. Can I use them as hazards? Yes, you can. It would be an issue if you were trying to use them for traffic clearing purposes, but if you're using them as flashing ambers, strobes are still legitimate use, or amber strobes are legitimately used. Can be used legally. Yeah, that's something like that. Can I pass a school bus when the stop sign folds? The rules in Ontario are this: if the stop sign or the red lights are flashing, you may not pass. If the stop sign goes in and it's still flashing up top, you may not pass. It has to be either in motion at the time that the flashing lights are going and not yet stopped. Now, new laws are coming into play. I don't think they've actually switched over, but all school buses in Ontario will be switching over to an amber 2-stage. So it'll be amber warning lights while they're still in motion, and once they stop, it'll switch to red, and the stop sign will come out. Again, red lights, regardless of whether or not the folding stop sign is in or out, you must stop and wait. I'm 21 with a G license, still no tolerance rule. I assume you mean alcohol, and yes, you have to be zero alcohol until you're 22. While you're 21, you're still a novice driver. Okay. Checking over here. I see that this is already something we covered. No questions there. All right, flipping back over. Ryan Pin says, when I worked at an airport, we had to say pet carrier because a crate was something else. That's a very good point. A crate is probably something assembled, made out of many planks of wood. Dave Stubbs wants to know, what are the rules for having a child on a motorcycle? Great question. We haven't talked about this in a while, and it is motorcycle season, something I'm looking forward to. I may even try and get back on a bike this year. I've been off my bike. My bike has not moved in my garage for a number of years since my collision, and I look forward to being on two wheels again, despite the fact that my wife isn't so excited about it. Anyway, the rules are that a child must obviously be wearing a properly fitted helmet, and their feet must be able to touch the passenger pegs. I've seen some extensions that are available to make that possible. Generally speaking, waiting is a good thing. Aside from legal requirements, they should be responsible enough, and you should feel comfortable knowing that they're going to hold on and not do anything to hurt themselves. Obviously, if you don't have a decker and you don't have a rear pad or pillion back support, there's more risk of someone falling off, especially during acceleration. So there's a number of things to think about, and maturity is one of them, even though it's not a legal requirement. Can you be pulled over by OPP while on the 401? Can you only be pulled over by the OPP? You can be pulled over by any police officer in the province of Ontario. We are police officers everywhere. So if a Toronto police officer was traveling on the 401 and saw you do something, we can certainly pull you over for it. And vice versa, an OPP officer is a province has police powers province-wide as well, and they can pull you over in the city of Toronto. There's no this is my jurisdiction, your jurisdiction thing. We're enforcing the law wherever we are. In Ontario, can you pass a double solid yellow line? Yes, legally, or I should say, there is no legal or charge for crossing the line. Other provinces have laws that say you cannot do that. We do not. That being said, if you do cross that line and you cause a collision, you're obviously responsible for it. The line said you shouldn't do it. You shouldn't have done it. It was giving you a hint to the risk involved with that move. So here's something that many people don't know. The color of line, do you know what it means? What is the difference between a yellow line and a white line? Answer in the chat. I'd love to know if you know, and then we'll talk about it when we get some votes on it. I wish there was a poll so we could actually have people do. There's polls for yay, nay, but there's no polls for let's discuss it further. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. Here's a question from Caitlin. How often are police officers running plates if they're behind us at a red light? That's going to depend based on the officer. There's no specific number that I can give you. I know that in the province of Ontario, we're going to be getting automated plate readers soon. More and more police officers or services will be adopting that technology, which will mean everyone is going to be on all the time, because as soon as a camera sees it, it'll automatically acknowledge it and check it against whether or not it's valid, if the owner is licensed, and so on. Things will happen automatically, and then it'll notify us. But right now, I mean, if I was at a stop, I would check regularly everything around me, because that's what I would do at a stop. But that was just me. Cool. On the bus topic, Big Jeff Fresh says, where do you have to stop? Is it behind the bus or just behind the stop sign on the bus? You have to be more than 20 meters behind the bus proper. Obviously, if it stops and you're already within 20 meters because you were behind it, then that's different. You're not going to be charged for it. But once it's stopped and you approach, you should stop more than 20 meters. Okay. How could I get out of a speed camera ticket? I don't know how you fight a ticket that has photographic evidence supported by speed measurement. So I don't know. And the truth is, I would say pay it and then don't do it again, because the whole idea is to prevent you from, or to give you a lesson so that you don't do it again. That's the whole idea of tickets. Motivate you or dissuade you from breaking the law. I'm scrolling back to
Banners?
see if we had any votes. Did you see any votes? People saying the difference between white and yellow? Because I got Caitlin with answers. Is she the only
Oh,
answer?
probably.
Okay, we're going to go with the answer. White lines, very, very accurately represented here in the chat from Caitlin. Yeah, white lines mean that the person or vehicle on the other side of that white line is traveling in the same direction as you. Yellow line separates opposite directions. So if you're driving down the road, now everyone's going to drive staring at lines, going, "Oh, I didn't notice that," because most people don't know. Same direction, white lines, opposite direction, yellow lines. Now, obviously, we know that a hashed line says it's safe to pass, and a solid line means you can't or shouldn't. But it's not the law. It's just informational.
Banners on the windshield of a car. How big is too big?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Banners on the windshield of a car. How big is too big?
Well, anything that is in the area swept by your windshield wipers is too big. So if you have a sticker, it must be small enough to be only placed in the areas where your windshield wipers don't go. As soon as they go in that area, you're obstructing your vision because that is the area expected for you to see through. Okay. I'm going to remove a racist or potentially racist comment. That's not appreciated. Please be kind here. We're all friends, and we're all trying to get questions answered. At least I'm answering the questions that you have. And when people decide to be, let's see, unfriendly towards others, well, we're going to ban you or remove you. Can you match a cop's speed? As long as they're going within the speed limit, then yeah, but assuming they're doing it safely, because they're legally, police, fire, and ambulance are legally allowed to exceed the speed limit while you are not. So if they are speeding and you decide to go beside them, they might pull you over, and rightfully so, because you are speeding and they are legally exceeding the speed limit while you are not. I find that always to be an interesting question. I don't know why anyone would think they could. Okay. Is a tracked vehicle legally allowed on the roads? Good question from Andrew McNaughton. If you mean a tank, or you mean like some kind of off-road vehicle, military tanks may be able to do it in certain situations. Generally speaking, tracked vehicles are not to be on the road. We don't allow off-road vehicles. So there you go. Hey, Emma, what's going on? Emma's in the house. I didn't say that very house-like.
My goodness.
Do you need to signal in a roundabout? Well, here's the thing. You don't signal into a roundabout because that's the direction of the road. You signal out of a roundabout. Yes, you do. You should. And it is proper etiquette to signal your intention to leave the roundabout. And you could be charged for failing to signal if you do not signal your intention to leave. What are the laws around motorized bicycles? Motorized bicycles, if you mean e-bikes, because there's a designation. If they qualify for e-bikes status, which means they don't exceed 32 kilometers an hour, they have proper braking, and there's actually a ton of information that if you go online and googly go it, you'll get. If you have a helmet on, they don't go more than 32 kilometers an hour, they don't have a motor more than 500 watts in power. Those are things that would allow it to be qualified as an e-bike. As soon as you break those rules, it is a motorcycle requiring license, ownership, and insurance, and not covered by that provincial legislation that allows you to operate it without those things. So it really depends. There's more to it. And in e-kick scooters, an opportunity to talk about those, there is a provincial pilot on, but each different municipality is required to opt into it. It's not blanket across the province. So, for instance, the city of Toronto does not allow e-kick scooters. That means any electric kick scooter is illegal for use in Toronto. Doesn't matter if it's on a sidewalk, on the street, or in a park. You cannot use it, and you can be charged. Additionally, if you mount a seat to an e-kick scooter, they are a motorcycle requiring license, ownership, and insurance. So things to know. And Ryan Pinn says, in Nova Scotia, a tracked vehicle like a tractor must be trailered on public roads. Very cool. I've never seen a tracked vehicle other than, for instance, a bulldozer. And when working in a specific area, I've never seen one on the road. That's not true. I've actually seen bobcats in work. But again, in relation to work, they don't just drive around. Please define driving slow during a drive test. I don't know what they're looking for when driving slow is referenced on a driving test because I am not a driving instructor or tester. Driving slow, we have a charge under the Highway Traffic Act called unnecessary slow driving, and that is impeding traffic for no reason. Because if you are driving slowly, like for instance in rain, driving instructors usually say 10 kilometers below the speed limit minimum. for safety. So if you were doing that, that wouldn't be unsafe or unnecessary. It'd be very justifiable. It really depends on what they are looking for. So you'd need to find, and maybe talk to your driving instructor about what they are known to be expecting, because that's something that I am not aware of. Is there a maximum size of flag on a vehicle? It has to be securely mounted. Otherwise, you could charge for insecure load. Additionally, it can't block a driver's view or interfere with other drivers' ability to see. So there is no specific dimensions that I'm aware of. However, if it's causing a problem, like I saw a great video on TikTok where they must have had a 20+ foot enormous American flag on the back of a pickup truck. It looked like a giant like Bigfoot monster truck going down the street. That was too big. It was unsafe. Okay, what's the fine for jaywalking? Jaywalking isn't a charge in Ontario, so I don't know what it would be, wherever it would be. There are fines for not using a crosswalk in proximity to a crosswalk within 50 meters, I believe, and that's a bylaw, not a jaywalking fine per se. Crossing the street mid-block is not illegal; it just has to be done safely. Okay, we have a lot of people in our office today that don't realize we're broadcasting, so they may be loud when they walk by. Let's see here. Okay. Can police take police cars back home with them? Generally speaking, marked vehicles don't travel with police officers. That's not to say they can't, and some police services do permit it. It really depends on where you work. Let's see here. Margin of ticketing for speed cameras 6 kilometers over ? I don't know. And I say that because we don't actually control those. That's the City of Toronto in Toronto that does it. Different jurisdictions set it differently, so it could be different everywhere you go. However, in Toronto, we aren't told the specific number. I would expect it's somewhere between 1 and more, but I don't know. The idea is not to speed, and knowing it just means that you'd be speeding to that amount before you'd worry. So it's better to worry at 1 over and simply not speed. Okay, we got repeat. Oh boy, Lee, is it Lee Sota asked this question. I didn't realize you were spamming. Otherwise, I would have absolutely ignored your question. Please don't spam. Asking a question 5 times is generally not helping your case to get it answered. I happened to miss the fact that it was asked repeatedly. Again, otherwise I would have ignored it. Please be kind to everyone else. Everyone gets a shot. We get to everyone's as soon as we can. Caitlin wants to know, should we pull over to the left or the right when moving for emergency vehicles to pass? Everyone seems to go everywhere. Thanks for bringing it up, Caitlin. That's a great question, and it depends on what kind of road you're on. If you're on a divided highway, like the Don Valley Parkway or the 401, it's to the closest curb or edge of roadway. And if you are on the left of 3 lanes, it would be the left that you would be expected to move to. Now, granted, if we are already in the left lane, then we would expect you to go the other way. It really depends on where in proximity to that vehicle you are. If you're on an undivided highway, so the center is a yellow line, for instance, it would be only to the right side of the road. It again depends on where the police vehicle is, and very often when there's confusion, we'll stick our arm out the window and give you direction. At least I used to, because people again get very confused. They don't know where to go. Let's see here.
What does the automatic plate reader show on the screen?
The auto plate reader just enters the license in. Once the information is entered into the system, it comes back with owner information. It comes back with vehicle information as to when it expires and so on. And then we can do further checks based on that. But if it was a stolen vehicle, we'd be alerted to the fact that it was a stolen vehicle. If it, we would get related information. I have not seen an automatic plate reader in play other than by video, looking into it myself. So I don't know what is possible. It may be possible to get more information. And TPS parking, or parking TPS, I should say, did some TikToks, because we have 2 units currently in play, and they've been in play for a long time. Something called the Street Sweeper project, and that is 2 cars that drive throughout the city of Toronto looking for stolen vehicles. So when they they search all the vehicles, they're specifically looking for stolen vehicles. Okay. What is the question here? Couldn't people in takeover events be charged with dangerous driving? If so, why did they need to amend stunt charges for private property? It's a good question. So stunt charges are Highway Traffic Act charges versus criminal. So yes, people could be charged with dangerous driving on private property, but is it truly criminal? Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. They created an amendment to the HTA to allow charging of the lesser charge of stunt driving on private property. Exactly why? Maybe because they didn't want to, destroy people's lives by charging them criminally for something that could have been dealt with by a lesser offense. That's something you need to talk to the government about, not me, because I don't know their motivations. Just the fact that it was done. Okay. Can cops pull you over if you go 5 over the limit? Well, let me ask you: is 5 over the limit exceeding the speed limit? Yeah. So yes, you can. You can pull someone over and charge them for any speed over the speed limit because that's speeding. Collision with a jaywalker who had the right of way. Well, it depends. See, jaywalker is, again, a terminology that is not relevant here because it's not illegal to cross the road here. There are stretches of road that are miles long that have no breaks or intersection, and it's legal to cross them if it can be done safely. You're not allowed to hit someone who's legally on the road. So obviously, the driver's responsibility is to pay attention to the driving. If they jumped out in front of you, it would be the jaywalker, or using the wrong term, but the pedestrian who would be at fault. But if they were legally in the road and the driver simply wasn't paying attention, it would be the driver's fault. And every situation is very different. So that's a general response. Okay. Are car meets legal? Depends. Meeting for friends, having coffee with friends is legal. Doing burnouts in parking lots is not. But yeah, car meets motor. I used to go to on Lakeshore, the coffee shop there, I don't remember when that it was, but we used to go down with our motorcycles and hang out and have coffee, and that's perfectly legitimate. Unless, of course, there is a reason, or you're trespassed and you're breaking the rules because they've said don't come back and you choose to come back. That's a different story. Can I watch video on my car screen while driving? Sadly, this is a disappointing question unless you're trying to be funny, which is still kind of disappointing. No, you cannot watch your video while driving. That's a prohibited function of your phone or device. The deal is that if you are watching an entertainment device, it's the same effectively as using your cell phone. You cannot be in any mode other than simple phone, which you can't do anything with other than answer or hang up. Otherwise, it's distracted driving. And the other charge is, screen visible to driver, distracted driving. There's also an entertainment device for holding and/or using an entertainment device, which isn't specifically a phone. So there you go. There's 3 basic charges, and that would be one of them. You can watch the screen when it comes to your GPS, but you can't actively interact with it. You can't set a destination. Okay. Somebody else is calling me, but I'm not answering because we're live. We're live and we're ignoring the phone. Can I park in an elementary school during the summer? There are likely signs there that say you cannot. Now, it's going to be up to the signage there. If it says no parking, then it's no parking. There's no specific permission to park in the summertime. So check with the school when it's not summer to find out what they allow. Bluetooth phone calls while driving, are they legal? Sure, as long as you're not using the keypad. You can just answer or hang up with the headset or with the phone. The simple act of hanging up, ending, or starting a call is legal. What's up, Q?
Someone wants a direct answer from you. They want to know if an empty bong in plain view in the back of my car is this ticketable.
An empty bong? So there's no, you know what? Bongs themselves, marijuana isn't an illegal substance. So if it is, it has no residue, it has no nothing in it, I don't think it's a problem as long as it's not in arm's reach of the driver. If it has unspent, what's it called? Marijuana in it, then that's different. The only time you can transport marijuana is when it's sealed from the factory, at least within reach. Because if you're storing it in your trunk, it's the place that you should be putting it. I don't think about bongs. They're disgusting. That's why I don't think about bongs. Personal opinion, obviously. I just, that's my, I don't like the smell. Let's see here. What is this? Why is modifying your exhaust so frowned upon? It is not frowned upon to modify your exhaust as long as that modification is legal. When you do something to create unnecessary noise, it's illegal. Nobody wants to hear your vehicle. Just you think it's cool. So, or maybe you and a group of friends. generally speaking, modifications that are legal, and modifications that are illegal are not. So when you're annoying people and the community can't sleep because you're buzzing by, that's a problem. Having an exhaust that sounds better isn't a problem, as long as it's doing everything that it's supposed to be legally on the road. Okay. Is it illegal to wrap your license plates? You cannot modify your license plates in any way, shape, or form. You cannot put a plate cover or frame on it even. So yeah, it's illegal. Now, wrapping it is actually more illegal than just putting a plate cover. Plate cover is $110. Wrapping or modifying your license plate is actually an arrestable offense. So don't do that. Is it illegal for passengers to drink in a car? Absolutely, it's illegal for passengers to drink in a car. You can't have open alcohol in a car. Once I had a lady taking lessons because she got caught going 30 in a 70. Really? I've never pulled anybody over for doing 30 in a 70. I've never charged anybody for unnecessary slow driving. I just haven't seen it. We are generally a society that speeds like beyond imagine, or we're stuck in traffic. So slow driving hasn't been something that I've seen that is an issue. Obviously, I've been in my personal car where someone is going well below the speed limit in the wrong lane, and that's annoying. People should drive in the passing lane to pass, and that does not mean you pass at 20 over the limit. It's up to the speed limit. So if someone wants to do 80 and 100, stay to the right. And the people who want to do 100, go to the left. That's just the way it's supposed to go. And if you're not actively passing, go back into the right. Why is front tint illegal? What is the issue? The issue is it reduces the amount of light that comes through the front windshield, prevents you from seeing because you require light to see. Additionally, at night, you require more light to see, and it also prevents us from seeing inside. Now, there are legal requirements for the windows left and right of the driver, but ultimately, we need to be able to see what you're doing inside your vehicle. Are you wearing your seatbelt? Are you drinking? Are you using your cell phone? These are all legitimate reasons for police to see inside your vehicle, as well as pedestrians who are out there, people who are involved in motor vehicle collisions, and the driver takes off and they have no description of the driver because they have tinted windows that are too dark. These are all reasons why we need to be able to see them. But front tint, it's because it obstructs the driver's view, and not many people appreciate just how much light you need to see. So there you go. And I know there are areas and other places that may allow it. Simply not permitted here, and we would pull your car off the road for it. So you could either remove the tint, and I've seen people peel it off at the side of the road, or we could pull your plates, and you can go get it safetied and removed professionally. What is this? Some comments about gas prices. They should be $8 to $10 a gallon, less people on the road, not as many traffic problems. That would definitely remove people from the road. Not necessarily something I want to see, but interesting concept. There was a comedian who talked about, guns. Guns aren't a problem. Bullets should be more expensive. And then, yeah, anyway, it was a funny skit. Okay. What is the best way to convince police not to fine us? Don't break the law. No one will give you fines. If you break the law, expect a fine, accept it, and move on, because that's the deal. You shouldn't be breaking the law. There's no excuses, and I don't buy into this whole give warnings for dangerous behavior. Hey, question that just along the line. Do you believe in giving second chances if speeding? It depends. Are you doing 5 or 10 over? Are you doing 15 to 20 over? Are you doing 50 over? If you're stunt driving, there's not a hope that I would give you a break. If you were doing 5 or 10 over, maybe you'd get a break. But at the end of the day, if I give you a break, how many more breaks do you need before you change your behavior? A ticket is a long-lasting, reminder. And it also gets documented so that your insurance rates go up because you are a higher risk driver at that point. It all depends. Every situation is different. Right now, the Speed Kills campaign is underway, and we are not giving any warnings. And maybe that'll change some behavior. Maybe we should never give warnings. I don't know. It's an interesting conversation. I have 4 years of security experience. How to apply? Go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. Under there, you will find what the requirements are for both civilian and police jobs, and we are applying. Taking applications. We are hiring. So good luck to you if that's what you want to do. We need good people, so come on down. It's a great place to. I put up a post a couple days ago. Was it yesterday? I've been with the service for over 22 years. I started as a volunteer. I became a court officer and did both volunteering and working as a court officer for many years before trading in 2 uniforms for one when I became a police officer. And 22 years. I mean, that's a huge amount of time, and I love every day of being a police officer. I loved it being on the road. I love what I'm doing now. Every day is different, and there are very few careers that you can say every day is different. Many people do the same thing every day with very, very minor changes. You know what? If you get tired of being a PRU officer going to domestic calls, you can become a traffic officer. You can go work for Police Dog Services. You can go join the ETF. You can do all Marine unit. Tons of different opportunities, and it's all under the same career. It's awesome. Get into education, so many different options. Anyway. How long did you have to go to school for? I assume you mean to be a police officer. Since we're on this track of careers, let's talk about that. So, grade 12 was the minimum requirements when I joined. It still is the minimum requirement for the job, although there is a push for university education. The more education you have, the more points you get. The more points you get, the better your chances when being competitive against other applicants for the same job. And that is exactly what policing is. When you apply for this job, you're competing against everybody else who's applying because there's only so many spots. That shouldn't dissuade you. It just means you should make yourself the best applicant you can be. Volunteer in your community. Continue your education. Make sure you're physically fit. Make sure your academics are good. And I mean academics, simple things. It's not you don't have to be a physicist to be a police officer, but there are things that are expected of you when you're competing. You want the best score you can get. So practice. I remember buying all sorts of grade school books for math just to brush up, not because I couldn't do math. And by no means am I a mathematician, but I wanted to be more proficient. It's a time test. The faster you can do it, the better you're going to score. Why can the police have heavy tint on their cars? I love these questions because I have no idea what you're talking about. We don't tint our fleet. There's no tint on our fleet. We get factory tint on some of the vehicles because it's factory, the privacy on the rear of SUVs, but there's no tint on our vehicles. So the arguments of suggesting they are false. Now, this is Toronto. I can only speak for Toronto. I have no idea where you are, Spencer. So maybe where you are, they allow different things or have different things. Take it up with them. Why don't police officers pull over cars into parking lots? We pull over cars when it's safe to do so where we pull them over. We don't go shopping for parking. Truth is, we want to stop you, issue your ticket or investigate the situation as quickly as possible and move on to the next vehicle. We're not going shopping. When we stop you, we're using all care of a situation, trying to put us into a safe space. Obviously, if there's no shoulders, we're not going to pull you over necessarily in a live lane. Mind you, we're talking about highway versus side of the road, but it all depends. We have lights and we create a blocking position for safety because we want to be safe too. Why we don't go shopping? Because it's an unreasonable amount of time to do that. And it's confusing for the driver. Just the law says pull over, closest curb or edge of roadway. That's what you do. What is this? Can you call the non-emergency for a ride if you're stranded? You can call. They will probably tell you to call a taxi, but depending on the situation, you can always call. You never know when you're going to get. But we are not a taxi service, and we are generally so busy that calling to pick you up and take you home is probably not going to happen. Am I allowed to lower my car? Yeah, it has to be done safely and legally, but lowering your car is not, by definition, illegal. It depends how low you go. I was going to go for a joke, but we're going to leave it alone. How can you report very loud mufflers like cherry poppers? You can do that on our website, www.torontopolice.on.ca/CORE. There's an area for reporting specific driver or vehicle issues. That chances are you don't need to report it, and we'll just find it out eventually on our own, because that's something that we chances are will not send out a unit to write a ticket for a specific exhaust. We might write them a letter and say you're being reported to have had illegal equipment. We may document that for future investigation. Maybe we'll pull them over, and we already have it on file that there have been complaints from the public, so we'll support. So there you go. Hey. Oh, sure. Okay. Sergeant Campbell just hopping over to say hello. How would I know all the law you know? Well, you can become a police officer and research and study this stuff all the time, but you don't have to be a police officer to read up on the Highway Traffic Act. You can simply choose to read up on the Traffic Act. It's available online for free, and you can totally do that. I encourage you to. It's great to know the rules. It helps you prevent. Of course, also watching our channel is a great way to get information. How long does it take to receive a ticket by mail? I have no idea. Fortunately, I don't receive tickets by mail, so I've never had an opportunity to do that sort of Disney line thing where you take the red card and you wait. I've heard of it being very quick, and I've heard of it taking a very long time. If you are expecting a ticket and nothing arrives, happy days. After what speed do you stop chasing when cars run? It's based on safety and based on the risk to public safety. So we would take every situation on its own merit and try and protect the community. Chances are we won't engage in a pursuit at all. We want to identify the vehicle and the driver prior to even turning the lights on. We'll just meet you at your house, issue a ticket, or arrest you. We don't need to chase you. That's not smart. Let's see here. Can I put a knife in my car for my safety? Carrying weapons, because you're saying for your safety, I'm assuming it's not to cut yourself out of the car, because you can carry tools and use things to cut seatbelts and open letters. That's different. If you're carrying something for self-defense and it's a weapon, can you have a knife? If you're concealing it, depends on the situation. Chances are, if you are going to put something into your vehicle for your safety, you're going to run the risk of having it used against you, and it's not something we don't suggest people arm themselves. Okay. Give me 3 good reasons why I should become a cop. If I have to give you reasons, then this isn't. I don't do a sales pitch on being a police officer. I think it's a calling. I think it's something you do because you want to serve your community, because you want to do the right thing and protect other people. But I can't give you 3 sales pitch reasons to become a police officer. I mean, I think I just did. While not trying to. But I don't think selling people on this job is the right thing to do. I think you do it because it's something you really want to do. Let's see here. Reminder to have some water. Must hydrate. Thank you. Okay. Why did I choose the Toronto Police? Because Toronto's my city. I grew up here. This is my community. I think serving your community makes you more connected to it. That's not to say you can't come to another community. At the end of the day, I've lived in York Region. I've lived in Toronto, and I would happily have served in any one of those. But Toronto really is it's the biggest municipal police service in Canada, or technically after the OPP, who does municipal policing, and the RCMP. But we are the biggest municipal, 3rd biggest police service, largest municipal, and we're cool. It's just no. You know what? There's also more hiring here, so that's not the reason I chose Toronto. I chose it because it's where I wanted to work. But there are a number of benefits to being in a big service. Let's see. Q says, I could have gone to work for York with Todd Snooki. Todd Snooks, I should say. She called him Snooki. Can you carry dog spray in your vehicle? Dog spray is dog repellent. It's pepper spray for the purposes of being used against animals. It's against the law to use it against humans. You could be charged with assault. Can you have dog spray in your vehicle? Yeah, because you might be encountering dogs. But again, using it against a human is against the law. Why is it illegal to have decals on your windshield? It goes without saying that putting things on your windshield that prevent you from seeing out is illegal, because it's kind of a safety thing to be able to see the road in front of you. So if it's anywhere that the windshield wipers sweep, that's area that you're supposed to be able to see through without any interference. So if you put something there, it's illegal. What if child unbuckles their seatbelt in front and you don't see? You're still responsible as the driver to make sure that they are properly secured. So, are you going to get pulled over and charged? Possibly. But at the end of the day, you should, check on the child. I have a mirror that allows me to see my child. New vehicles have cameras pointing at the rear seats specifically so you can see and update the kids. You need to be focused on them as much as you are, I shouldn't say as much. Your primary focus is driving, but you need to be paying attention to children and have conversations with them. If they're so young that they don't understand, they probably don't have the dexterity to unbuckle themselves. There are also or products available for covering the buttons so they can't release the snap. If it's something that's so loose that it's easy for them to do, you may want to look at a different car seat. Okay. Can semi-truck drive in the 3rd lane? If there's no sign preventing them, like on the Don Valley Parkway, there's a sign that says you can't drive in the left lane. On the 401, there may or may not be one. And if there is none, that doesn't prevent them, and it's all based on sign. What was your second career besides being a cop? Second career since becoming a police officer. So here's the background. I've done a lot of different things. I've worked in the computer industry. I've worked in real estate, and I gave up. I did some of them simultaneously. I had permission to continue as a real estate agent when I started working as a court officer. But I gave up my license and I focused everything on policing because that's what I wanted to do. So what was my second career? It was real estate prior to doing this. But I started as an auxiliary constable, became a court officer, and then became a police officer. All the things I've done before. Is it legal to drink coffee while driving? It is legal, as long as it's not preventing you from driving safely. Because if it were to prevent you from driving safely, you could be charged for careless driving. I'm confused, Q.
What were you doing?
What are you talking about?
Well, the lights dimmed a bit.
I didn't touch anything. I don't know.
Okay.
Apparently, the lights went out in the city. What is
No,
this?
just in your studio.
No. I don't know what happened. Maybe the phone is possessed. E-bikes usually are anywhere. What is this? STS don't. E-bikes usually are anywhere on streets, don't follow the laws. That's a rider situation. Some riders choose to follow the laws and some don't. But e-bikes, as long as they're following the rules, are legal to be used on the road. I don't know really where you're going with the question, but yeah, if you've got more to that, let me know. Why did you give up real estate? More money than being a cop. Like I said, being a cop is a calling, and serving your community and doing good things is something that was important to me. It's not all about money. But you're right. It can be more money in real estate. But you got to love what you do, and I love what I do. Do you have to be a Canadian citizen to be a police officer? No, you have to be a permanent resident. You have to have the legal right to work. So check out our website, www.torontopolice.owen.ca/careers for more information about the job postings and what the requirements are. How can I pay my speeding ticket for Ontario? You can go to the MTO. I think you can go to any bank. You can go to the ministry counter. I think that, where else could you go? Courts, I think, will accept payments. The instructions are on the back of the ticket, so check it out. Here. What about a small sticker well outside the wiper path? Small stickers outside your wiper path are likely not going to be an issue, like your oil reminder sticker or your certification for safety on a commercial motor vehicle. The what's it called? The device, not an issue. But when it's inside that path of windshield wiper path of windshield wiper path, then that's an issue. What is the charge for stunt driving? Stunt driving. What do you mean? Do you mean what happens? What are the implications? Well, the consequences, I should say. Roadside suspension of 30 days, 14-day vehicle impound, and then there's, of course, the charge itself, which you are then sent to court to deal with. The consequences in court for the first conviction could be 1 to 3 year suspension, up to, I think, $10,000, $1 to $10,000 fine. Is it up to 6 months in jail as well? I think it is up to 6 months in jail. And it goes up based on further further convictions. 20 seconds left before Instagram says goodbye. If you want to continue with us for another couple minutes, you can always jump over to YouTube.
Just wanted to say that you must do a mandatory training course.
Oh yes, and the new changes to the stunt driving is that there is mandatory training courses now. So if you don't take the course, you will nullify your license, and that's new only in the last within a month that it came into play. It's very interesting. I got to make a video about that because there's a lot of questions about the training course, and it is something that's been in the States for a long time, where you had to go to driver's school if you get a boo-boo, like if you get a ticket. It could be minor tickets. For us, it's major tickets. But that's going to be very interesting to see how that continues. I don't know if anyone's gone to driver's school. There are some courses that have had driver's school in the past for impaired and whatnot. Yeah. Let's see here. If bicycles are on the road, must they follow road rules? Absolutely, they have to follow the rules of the road. And rules of the road is a subsect of rules when it deals with things like stop signs, signaling. All those things are required by cyclists. Speed enforcement isn't something that you can charge a cyclist, but if a cycle is traveling above the speed limit, they're really working for it. It's If I get a ticket and suspension in a car, does it also affect my motorcycle record, and will it affect my my motorcycle insurance? Yeah, you're driving. So you have conditions or endorsements on your driver's license. You have an M, or you have a G, or you have what have you, and that allows you to operate a certain class. But if you get a charge in one, it is a charge on all. Your license is one license. It just has different endorsements allowing you to drive different types of vehicles. So yeah, and when an insurance company looks at your insurance, they go high risk driver, and it doesn't matter what you committed the offense on. They see it, and they are not impressed. They do not like that. I mean, an insurance company is basically calculating how much money, or the chance or likelihood that you will cost them money, and they are charging you rates based on how you look on paper. So every ticket, no matter how minor, could affect your insurance, and it's entirely up to them. It's not something regulated by the province. It's going to be their determination as to your risk to them, which is why people who have a lot of tickets tend to pay a lot of money, and why tickets are a way of dissuading people from committing the offenses. Because if you don't break the rules, you don't get a ticket, the insurance company doesn't find out because there's nothing to find out, and you're a better risk to them, or than somebody else.
John, that can include on-road vehicles and vessels as well.
Oh, so boating and off-road vehicles can come into play there?
Yep, free insurance as well.
Really?
Yep, well.
We should put you on mic.
We should. Yes, especially if things like impaired driving. If you get impaired driving in a vessel, it's equal.
Well, sure, that makes a total sense, because it's
and you lose your driver's license, even if you're in a boat or on a snowmobile or on an off-road vehicle and get charged with impaired driving, you lose your ability to drive anything.
And that makes sense. If you're going to be responsible for something off-road that could hurt or kill someone, then it's the same thing. You're making bad decisions everywhere, and it's all about judging you. That's what we're doing. They're judging you. Let's see here. Here. Akila says, I thought if there was driver refresh training if you hit a certain point level. There might be, but this is going to be specific to the charge. Okay, what if I get a ticket? What if it's a ticket for being on your phone? You can't use your phone and ride a bike. Actually, cyclists aren't covered under the distracted driving regulations for using your handheld. That is specific to motor vehicles. That's not to say that they should, because it's dangerous for anyone to have their attention divided between things and not focused on the task at hand of riding or driving. But it isn't illegal, so we can't charge them for it. Maybe that'll come sometime in the future. Like, there might be a day when cyclists need a license to operate on a city street. Just isn't here yet, although people have suggested it. G1 driver without a G driver in the car suggestions. Suggestions? Don't do it. It's against the law. You are required to be supervised by a qualified G, which means that the person who's supervising you in the front passenger seat has a G-class license and 4 years experience. That experience starts when they get their G2 license. And the implications or consequences are 30-day suspension on your first conviction, 90-day suspension on your second. On your third, you get kicked out of the graduated licensing program. You're not covered by insurance for any collision that you might get involved in. And that's never mind getting involved with things where they find out, because good luck trying to get your license if you can't follow the basic rules as a G1 driver. So if you were in a collision, they'd probably deny you your claim, because again, you're not a licensed driver. And the person who lent you the car and gave you permission to operate that motor vehicle without a license, they can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act as well. If you took the car without permission, drive motor vehicle without consent, you start getting into criminal things. I mean, if you stole the car, that's a whole different issue. But not a good path to be going down. We just hit the 4 minutes after 11. We were only going to 11, so I'm going to pick another question, and we're going to wrap up the day, because I have to go find out what the final stats are for yesterday's campaign results for how many charges for speeding were laid in the City of Toronto, and then I got to make that video and post that video. But I've got another video that's a lot of fun. I look forward to sharing it with you, so I'm going to post that once the live is done, and then I'll put another one up as soon as I have the content, the details. Okay. Did you ever get tickets? I'm assuming this is Did I ever get tickets maybe before becoming a police officer? I haven't received a ticket since becoming a police officer because I haven't been pulled over for breaking any laws. I respect them and I don't want to get in trouble. But I did get tickets as a young person. When I was 16, I ran a stop sign. I didn't even see the stop sign. I went through a stop sign and I was reminded very quickly that there was a stop sign there. I know exactly the street I was on. That moment changed my driving because I became more aware what I was doing. Apparently, I wasn't aware prior to, but I was a ticket for a stop sign when I was 16, and there was no graduated licensing then. I was 16. I had been driving maybe for 30, maybe 90 days. I don't know, and I got that ticket. So that was part of my education. And I think I got one speeding ticket for 15 over. And that was about it. But yeah, I got tickets, and they weren't fun. And that's how I know that they work, because I experienced them, and I paid them. It wasn't a matter of fighting. I was guilty, and I paid them. All right. And Alex got a ticket for running a stop sign too. See, we're better drivers for it. But the whole idea is that it's an experience that changes your driving and your outlook on driving. And that's it. All right. It has been a blast. I'm going to say goodbye. We will see you again tomorrow when we do this at 10 o'clock. Hope to see you then, and we will and hope they have a safe day. And Q, any last words to the audience or Sarge? Anything that you want to leave them with?
Hi, Sergeant Campbell, but bye now.
Hi and bye. All right, we're out. Have a
Take
good
care,
one,
everybody.